Caffeine, is it secretly good for your health? Can it stunt your growth, or worse yet, kill you? Today, we are breaking down 8 shocking myths about caffeine that might just change your life. Thank you so much to Life Boost Coffee for sponsoring this video. Number 1 caffeine myth, caffeine can kill you? Don't freak out about what I'm about to tell you, but yes, technically this is true. It can. It can affect your body if you consume way too much of it. That's why it's important that you know the difference between a healthy amount and how much is too much. The US Food and Drug Administration considers up to 400 milligrams a safe amount of caffeine for healthy adults to consume daily. That's equivalent to about 4 cups of coffee or 10 cans of soda or 2 energy shot types of drinks in a day. But please keep in mind, different products out there have different amounts of caffeine and other added ingredients like loads of sugar. The limit and the health impact can really vary from product to product. Back to the question at hand. Could too much caffeine kill someone? In rare instances, when caffeine is consumed in very high doses, at say excess of 5 grams in adults, yes, it can be lethal. Higher levels of caffeine consumption is usually found more with products like powdered caffeine or caffeine pills, like with weight loss pills. In a concentrated potent product, the dangers increase a lot. For instance, some concentrated products out there contain the same amount of caffeine as 20 to 30 regular coffees.
That's not good.
So please be safe, don't go buck wild on it, and know what ingredients are in the type of products you are consuming. Myth number 2, it stunts your growth. We've all heard this one, but it's not true. Where did the rumors start? Decades ago, some research studies found the association between high caffeine intake and reduced calcium absorption in the body. We all know that calcium is good for bone density and health. So the thought was that any lack of calcium in the body could be a contributing factor to osteoporosis. Here's the issue with this. The studies also concluded that reduction in calcium absorption associated with caffeine intake was very little, and the calcium loss could even be offset by adding 1 to 2 tablespoons of milk to your cup of coffee that you drink. To flat out say caffeine stunts your growth is a bit of a stretch. Speaking of stunting your growth, myth number 3, caffeine causing erectile dysfunction?
Pineal softiosis.
I'm happy to report this one is also false. Caffeine has many effects on the body. It gives you a burst of energy that can be great for athletic performance, but it can also narrow blood vessels throughout the body. So with less room for blood to flow, it can temporarily raise blood pressure a bit, which is a reason why researchers initially suspected that there could be a potential link between caffeine and erectile dysfunction. But according to one study, caffeine intake is actually linked to reduced odds of having erectile dysfunction in men who drink the equivalent of 2 to 3 cups of coffee per day. Next myth up, caffeine can make you live longer. What? Dr. Wagner, didn't you just say that too much caffeine could possibly kill me? Here's the deal. Caffeine by way of coffee can actually be very beneficial to your health. Besides feeling more alert and giving one energy, drinking coffee has been linked to lowering the risk of all sorts of health problems. Diseases like Parkinson's disease, liver disease, type 2 diabetes, and dementia are just the beginning. For instance, one scientific study revealed that drinking 3 to 5 cups per day was associated with a decreased risk of dementia and Alzheimer's disease. Other evidence suggests that normal consumption of caffeine can reduce the risk of colorectal cancer by 26%. I can go on and on about all sorts of health benefits from caffeine and caffeine-related products like coffee, especially one of my favorite coffee brands, Life Boost. I actually drink this coffee in my house for a number of reasons. It's low acid for starters. Studies say low acid coffees potentially have higher levels of antioxidants and anti-inflammatory properties. Plus, they do a ton of third-party testing for mycotoxins, heavy metals, pesticides, and 450 plus other chemicals, including glyphosate, which is an herbicide that other coffee plantations often use to control weeds. They pride themselves on being the healthiest coffee on the planet. I made Life Boost give me an exclusive 50% off deal for you guys, so check it out. The link's down below in the description. Let me know what you think. All right, caffeine sobers you up? No, not exactly. We all know that alcohol can have sedative effects on the body. In other words, in addition to making one impaired, it can also make a person feel sleepy. And it usually hits a person 2 to 6 hours after alcohol consumption. Here's where the myth comes into play. One would think that because caffeine does the opposite, of alcohol, or in general makes people more alert, it could kind of counteract the buzz, but this is just not the case. Although it might make a person feel a little bit more alert after a night-long chug fest, it unfortunately cannot remove the feelings or state of drunkenness or cognitive deficits that alcohol can cause. The reason is we have to metabolize the alcohol we drink in order to diminish its effects. The body processes it in several ways, but it's mostly broken down in the liver and eventually excreted. Caffeine's good for asthma? This one is in fact true. Caffeine does appear to improve airway function for up to 4 hours in people with asthma after consumption. In fact, it is a weak bronchodilator, and it also reduces respiratory muscle fatigue. And caffeine is also chemically related to the prescription drug theophylline, which has been used over the years for treating wheezing, shortness of breath, asthma, chronic bronchitis, and other lung diseases. Now, is this a substitute for your quick relief inhaler or other asthma action plan prescribed by your doctor? No. If not treated properly, asthma attacks could be life-threatening, but caffeine has been suggested to have some protective effects against asthma and reduce asthma symptoms. For instance, in a study out of Korea, their findings showed that caffeinated coffee consumption lowered the frequency of asthma. Number 7 caffeine myth: caffeine causes insomnia. Not usually, but it could disrupt your sleep. It really all comes down to your body's sensitivity to it. Like for instance, one factor could be your metabolism, or how much fiber you have, or how frequently you consume coffee or caffeine. Processed mainly through the liver, some caffeine can stick around in the body for several hours, but for most people, a cup of coffee or two in the morning won't interfere with your sleep at night. Your sensitivity may vary though. People who are more sensitive may not only experience insomnia-like effects, but also have caffeine side effects of, say, nervousness or gastrointestinal upset, etc. And women who take birth control pills may keep caffeine in their system for up to 4 hours longer than compared to those who are not on the pill. So the moral of the story here, if your body is sensitive or impacted by caffeine's effects, try not to consume any caffeine products at least 6 hours before going to bed. Last myth: caffeine can provide relief for a headache. This is a caffeine truth. During a headache, blood vessels swell or go through other changes, causing more blood flow around the brain. Now, this increase of blood to the brain area puts pressure on surrounding nerves, which sends pain messages to your brain, aka what you experience as the headache. Caffeine has vasoconstrictive properties, meaning it could actually cause your blood vessels to narrow, restricting blood flow, which might relieve a little bit of that pain that you're experiencing from your headache. Caffeine taken with other common headache medications could also increase the absorption and strength of the medication to provide even faster relief. Keep in mind also that consuming too much caffeine can trigger headaches, and caffeine withdrawal can sometimes also have the same blood vessel enlarging type qualities and trigger a headache as well. Adjusting to the right amount of caffeine in your system is key here. Alright, bottom line, caffeine seems to have a lot of potential health benefits, so as long as you aren't going beyond the recommended daily amount. Use common sense and moderation, and let me know if you want me to debunk more caffeine myths. Also, please make sure you subscribe and turn your bell notifications on. Thank you so much for watching, and stay healthy, my friends.